Hello everyone, welcome to semester 2, week 4 of academic skills and studying with confidence module. So first let's see the learning outcome of the session. The main learning outcome of this session is to interpret and evaluate relevant information and ideas. Now let's see the specific learning outcomes of this session. So at the end of this session, you will be able to develop arguments and you will be able to develop clarity and coherence in written communication. And finally, revise and edit your essay for clarity and coherence. These are the specific learning outcomes of today's session. So first of all, let's see what do we mean by communication or what is communication. So communication is a very important element which is needed for day-to-day life as well as for your academic life. That's why we are going to look into what do we mean by communication. So communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings or messages between individuals or groups using different methods such as verbal, non-verbal and written means. So it involves encoding and decoding messages to convey meaning effectively. So for an example, the essay which you are doing as the assignment is a written communication that you are doing. And I'm doing a verbal communication through this video. So communication can occur through various channels such as speech, writing, gestures, facial expressions, body language, and digital platforms. Then why it is important? So as I mentioned, communication is very important. So if you look at in an academic setting, why communication is important as an academic, it is important for knowledge transfer. So effective communication in academic settings facilitates the transfer of knowledge from educators to students and among peers. So you can get knowledge from your educators and also by discussions with your colleagues, you can get the knowledge. So therefore, effective communication is vital in an academic background. Also, communication enables students to seek feedback on their work, engage in constructive discussions, and improve their learning outcomes. So, for an example, you are getting feedback within the classroom from your teacher, and also you are getting feedback for your draft assignments, which is another example for this. So, you can improve yourself by getting feedback. Then let's see why communication is important in a professional setting. So strong communication skills are vital for leaders and managers to articulate the goals, provide direction for the team, motivate teams, and resolve conflicts effectively. And then communication is important for personal interactions as well in day-to-day life. Conflict resolution and self-expression is done through communication. So effective communication skills help individuals navigate conflicts, express emotions constructively, listen actively, express thoughts, and find mutually beneficial solutions. So through this slide, you can see that communication is important in all these settings. Now we are going to look at the characteristics of effective communication. Communication to be effective, these characteristics should be there. Starting with clarity, which is a very important feature, which means clear and easily understood nature of your messages and free from confusion or ambiguity. So clarity in academic writing refers to the explanation, then explaining it in a way that the audience can understand it is called clarity. Then we have the next characteristic of effective communication, which is coherence, which means logical organization and connection of ideas within written or oral communication. So when you are writing your essay, there should be logical organization and a proper connection between ideas so that the message is delivered to the audience effectively. So in academic writing, coherence ensures that sentences and paragraphs flow smoothly with clear relationships established between ideas. Then the next characteristic of effective communication is audience awareness, which is very important. So you should know who your audience is before you are going to communicate. Understanding the audience's background, knowledge, and expectations when communicating academically is very important. So for an example, if I'm delivering a lecture for you as foundation level students, I should understand the foundation level students' background before I deliver my lecture. So if I'm delivering a lecture for master's students, that will be different because their background is different. So like that, when you are doing a communication, you should be aware about your audience. Now we are going to look at different types of essays, or we call essay as an academic task. So through this slide, we are going to look at different types of essays. So we have three types of essays, which are argumentative essay, expository essay, and narrative essay. So what do we mean by argumentative essay? That means argues a specific point of view or perspective supported by evidence and logical reasoning. So if you want to prove a specific point of view using evidence and logical reasoning, you can focus on writing an argumentative essay. Then if it is an expository essay, it presents factual information, explains a process or analyzes a topic without personal opinions. So this is about analyzing a topic in general without adding personal ideas or opinions. And then we have narrative essay, which means telling a story or recounting personal experiences, often with the lesson or moral. So narrative essay is more of personal experience or personal story. So characteristics of essays include clear thesis statement, and when you are structuring it, you should have three main sections, which are introduction, body, and conclusion for your essay. Now we are going to look at different types of reports. So when it comes to academic tasks, reports is another type of task, and reports can be in three types according to this, which are research report, business report, and scientific report. So research report means presenting findings and analysis of a research study or a project. When it comes to business report, it focuses on analyzing a business problem, presenting solutions for the problem, and providing recommendations. And then if it is a scientific report, it documents scientific experiments, methods, results, and conclusions. So if you look at characteristics of a report, it includes formal structure, having these elements listed here, and it can use data presentation like including tables, charts, graphs, and figures for more attractive or more better visual presentation. Then we have another type of academic task, which is research papers. So when it comes to research papers, it can be of two types as per this, which are scientific research papers and historical research papers. So the scientific research paper presents scientific research findings, methodology for the research, analysis, and conclusion. However, historical research papers investigate historical events, contexts, and interpretations based on research and evidence. So these are the characteristics of research papers. Now we are going to look at stages of effective writing. Because you are doing your academic essay, you should know the stages of effective writing that you should follow to write an effective essay. So it starts with research phase. So first stage is research information using credible sources. So as you know, you have to use credible sources for your essay, and you can research information through this phase. Then you can create the outline or outline creation. So you can structure your essay before you start writing the essay. So think of the introduction and what are the body paragraphs you are going to include in your writing, and how you are going to write your conclusion. So after that, as the third stage, you can draft your essay, draft your report, which is called drafting phase. So use appropriate academic language, vocabulary, and citation style, which is APA. Then incorporate the research information, arguments, and examples. And then as the fourth phase, make sure you do editing and review. Once you have written the draft, edit for coherence, clarity, grammar, punctuation, and formatting, which is a very important stage in effective writing. Finally, you can do revisions and finalization that ensures that essay follows the academic writing conventions and meets the assignment requirements. And finalize the essay and prepare for your submission. which is the last stage of effective writing. So it is always good to follow these stages for effective writing. Now let's see the strategies for effective writing. So the first strategy, organizing ideas logically. So you can think of structuring your writing as introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. So in the introduction, should clearly state the main topic or thesis statement and should provide context and background information to readers. And when it comes to body paragraphs, each paragraph focuses on a specific point or subtopic related to the thesis statement. Ideas should flow logically and be supported by evidence or examples. And in the conclusion section of your writing should summarize key points, restate the thesis, and may suggest implications or future directions. So this is how you have to structure or organize your writing for the essay. Then the second strategy is using appropriate academic language and vocabulary, which is again very important and which we have discussed in first semester as well. So you have to use formal tone and use subject-specific terminology. Use discipline-specific vocabulary and terminology relevant to the topic or field of study, which is very important so that you can demonstrate that you have learned the technical terms related to the topic. Then the next strategy for effective writing is providing evidence and examples, which is mandatory. So you have to cite sources which you are using for your assignment or for your writing. So you have to use credible sources, as you know. Credible sources include books, articles, and research papers, and you have to cite them properly using APA style. Then use data and statistics whenever relevant. So incorporate relevant data, statistics, and empirical evidence to support arguments and claims. Then use specific examples, case studies, or anecdotes to illustrate key points and enhance understanding for the reader. So these are the strategies for effective writing. So because we discussed about using credible sources before, this is the model that you can use to evaluate and select sources, so which is CRAP, and it stands for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose of the sources. So before you decide the reliability of the source, you can always check these 5 factors in the source to confirm whether it is a reliable source. Right now, we have examples of connecting words. So when you are writing your essay, in order to maintain the flow or maintain the coherence, you have to use connecting words. It is often helpful to use a point or counterpoint structure where you combine different points of view using connecting words to make your analysis flow better. So examples of connecting words are given in this slide, such as however, in light of, nonetheless, contrary to, and etc. So this is the group activity for the session. So we are moving on. So once you have completed the group activity, you can have a feedback discussion as well. So these are the references used for today's session. So thank you so much for watching.